Hi everyone, Dr. James Marcum back again with another biblical prescription for life. And those of you who saw and made a comment about that little white piece on my ear last week were very observant because yes, that was supposed to be there. I actually cut myself shaving. So thank you for your concern and for being so observant. Today I thought we'd answer this question. What is the hormone of darkness, and will this help me rest? Wow. So the basics in health are very important to the aging process, whether that be water or movement or rest. And I wish I could tell each one of you which one was the most important for you, but they're all important at different degrees based on our genetics. But before we talk about this hormone of darkness, let's go to the Word. And I want to invite you to go to Hebrews 4, verse 9. And it states, "There remains therefore a rest for the people of God." And if you have chance, read through that whole chapter, Hebrews 4. So today I want to talk to you about this hormone of darkness, and that happens to be melatonin. And many of you heard of this. And here is a picture of the chemical structure of melatonin. So I know that picture doesn't mean a lot to everyone, but this is actually a hormone that our body makes. And Dr. Lerner, way back in 1958, discovered this, and he found that it was in the plant and animal kingdoms. And just recently in 1995, Dr. Wortman found out that this could be used as a sleep aid to help people sleep, especially those that had jet lag. So what is this actually? And I find it very interesting that we're still discovering things about the body today. And we're still developing these concepts and learning. And this melatonin is actually a hormone, and it comes from a place in the brain called the pineal gland, and it has many different functions that we're discovering. And one of the functions is it promotes sleepiness, makes you sleepy, and it helps regulates the circadian rhythms that wake us up, that keep our metabolism going, that helps us rest at night. It's also been very interesting that it's also been found that it has something to do as an antioxidant. It helps clean up the body as a free radical, works in the mitochondria. We're just learning about all of the different things that this hormone, melatonin, does. So when it's dark, when it gets dark at night, all of a sudden, guess what? The body increases, the pineal gland increases the production of melatonin, and this melatonin sort of works in many different ways, as we talked about, but it promotes sleep or it promotes rest. And rest is very important for the body because it's during this rest time that the body has time to heal. It's not working as hard. It gets to rest up, and everyone knows how well you feel after a good night's sleep. So melatonin increases at night when it's dark. Now, when it gets light or there's light around us, the melatonin level goes down. So people can actually measure this. You can measure your melatonin levels in your blood, your saliva, and your urine to see if you're making enough of this. As we get older, guess what? Chemicals like melatonin go down. So it might affect our sleep patterns and our circadian rhythms. So this is why I'm talking about this in relationship to how we're resting, because resting is very important. So we want to boost up our levels of melatonin, especially if we're running out. A lot of people that do shift work, they get their days and nights messed up, have problems with melatonin. Now, melatonin is sort of interesting because this is a hormone that it can move from the gut into the brain. And it's very similar to some of the other hormonal neurotransmitters in the brain. So if you're having sleep problems and you've ruled out some of the medical causes of sleep, and I guess some of the big ones are sleep apnea, diabetes, having a big prostate. If you've worked on all of your techniques of sleep hygiene, which includes going to bed early, turning off the lights, keeping it a nice environment. If you've done all of those things and you're still having problems sleeping, a lot of people now are taking melatonin. Now, how do we boost our levels? We already mentioned that you can measure your levels. Well, I'm a little bit leery of supplements sometimes, but here is a picture of melatonin, the supplement, and this is 500 micrograms. Well, I try to increase my levels with food first because the studies have shown that we don't exactly know what's in these melatonin supplements. There's been some studies showing that the amount in them might not be accurate. Remember, they're not regulated. Sometimes they have other substances in them. So you have to get them from a reliable source, or at least make sure they're doing the job. So I would first, if I had to get my melatonin levels up, I'd reach for our nutrition. And there's some foods there that increase melatonin. Perhaps the best one is pistachios. If you just eat two little pistachio nuts, that increases your melatonin level. So if you're having problems sleeping and these other things have been ruled out, you want to rest better, you might want to try just eating a couple pistachios, and that will increase your melatonin levels if they're down and help you rest better at night. Now, there's also been studies on tart cherries in the European Journal of Nutrition way back in 2012, showing that this boosts our melatonin levels as well. But many other foods can cause it. Grapes raise it too. There's also foods that are precursors. That's the substances that are used to make melatonin. Things like almonds and walnuts, bananas. All of them, you can eat those, cranberries, leafy greens, but sometimes the amount you would have to eat is quite a bit to get your levels up. So it's best to just have a well-balanced diet. And I think if you have a deficiency, maybe some pistachios or some tart cherries at night, a couple hours before you go to bed, might be a first step to take. And then if you do go to a supplement, this is actually melatonin 500 micrograms. They say the sublinguals that you put under your tongue work the best, but I would give that a try from a reputable source. Even though we don't know exactly what's in it, this might be helpful for you. Now, another thing you might want to consider is how much light you have. You want to make it dark, because if you have a lot of light on, which would, I guess, include cell phones, if you have a lot of light that keeps you up, that might affect the production of the melatonin. And that, if you had less production, of course, from too much light, of course, less production, you won't rest as well. So that's sort of what I wanted to talk about today. This is called the hormone of darkness, but we have to have it dark. We can't have it light all the time. We sometimes might run out of it. If we do, and we need to sleep better, pistachios, tart cherries might be a good source. Now, there's many other sleep aids out there. Of course, if you're having problems sleep, melatonin might help you, especially if your levels are low or you have a lot of light that's affecting that level. Remember, this can move from the gut into the brain. It crosses the blood-brain barrier. And we're just now learning about all of the advantages of having good melatonin in the body. We've heard about sleep, circadian rhythms. I do suspect this is also going to help our mitochondria and serve as an antioxidant, which probably is going to help our immune system as well. So we're still learning about this hormone, melatonin. Remember, vitamin D is a prohormone. We have lots of chemicals in our body that we're just learning how God has made us, how all these chemicals interrelate to help us rest better. Now, there's other things out there that many people are trying to use as a sleep aid. Now, if they've ruled everything out, they recommend hygiene first. Good sleep hygiene, we can talk about that sometime as well. But things like I've seen valerian root used, lemon balm extract because it helps a chemical called GABA in the body. Chamomile, those are others. Now, do some people need sleeping pills? Well, I would put that off as long as possible because all sleeping pills are not made long-term and they're not made to fix the problem. Now, there's some people under special circumstances that might need them, but I would try working on all of these other things, including this hormone of darkness first. But we have to get back to the basics of rest. Our body needs rest to recover so it can heal itself. But in Hebrews, we find another type of rest. Hebrews 4, verses 9. There remains therefore a rest for the people of God. So when we find rest in God, I want you to read Hebrews 4. This also helps our physiology. And I had someone recently that told me that just reading the word at night before they went to bed was another thing that they do to help them rest at night. So think about that today. Worship, coming into that spiritual rest is more important than anything we can do. So we want to leave that today. The hormone of darkness, melatonin. If you think you might need it, some pistachios. Avoid light, but more importantly, remember to continue to come into the rest that comes when you commune with God through Christ, through the Word, through prayer, all of these things. And that's our main purpose today is we want to focus on the big picture through improving our health. We want to share this with other people. This world is full of controversy, full of all sorts of things going on, but we want to focus on helping each other, helping our relationship with Christ, having peace, understanding truth. There's lots of places you can go for health information, so I want to thank you for coming to Biblical Prescriptions for Life. Share this with your friends and neighbors. If you want to learn more, we have a biblical app you can use. We have a worship study that's out there for 7 weeks. We have a newsletter. We have many ways to connect with you, and we want you to use this also as a tool to help others. So today you can share this with other people if they might have problems sleeping and want to rest better. It's a big picture health item. So I'm Dr. James Marcum. I'm going to be back very soon with yet another biblical prescription for life.